Hi everybody, Dr. Joe here. Welcome back to another installment of chair yoga for golfers. This has been a popular video, my first two versions, and this is one I get a lot of great feedback from my clients from. So again, the goal in chair yoga is to reverse the typical postures of our upper body throughout the day. So this works as a great thing to interrupt your workday with. I prefer the order that I go in. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's the order you have to go in, but I will say there's a reason I go in this exact order. So again, you're going to follow along with me, and we're going to get started. First thing we're simply going to do is get the shoulder blades positioned. Again, we tend to end up round forward, so we want to squeeze our shoulder blades down and back as we pull our chest open. And I'm going to do 5 repetitions of this. Throughout, I want to maintain good control of my breathing, never holding my breath, never getting overly tense. Take it up to the next step. I'm going to put my hands behind my head, and now when I squeeze my shoulder blades back, I'm going to pull my elbows open, and this one's also going to be for 5 repetitions. We're getting ready to make it golf specific here in a moment. So after this 5th rep, what I'm going to do is pull everything back, and I'm going to add rotation. And I'm going to go 5 times to each side. Sometimes you'll get some cramps in these positions because you're not used to them because you've been working hunched over. So if that happens, just take a quick break, shake it out, and jump back in. Okay, now we're going to get a little more aggressive on the shoulders. We can do this 2 ways. We can go here and rotate back. Or what I like to do, because I have a golf club at my desk, is use that club to help push it back. And think about how similar this is to the top of the backswing on that trail shoulder. So it's definitely a motion we have to maintain. There's also a motion we tend to lose the longer we sit, because when we work on the keyboard, our shoulder is in the exact opposite position as we are here. I'll switch around. You can feel free to kind of modify the number of repetitions, or if you'd rather hold instead of move in and out of a position, that's perfectly appropriate too. I find for most clients, they get the best benefit moving in and out of the position versus a static hold, but that doesn't mean it'll be the same for you. Now that we've hopefully loosened those shoulders and upper back a little bit, it's going to make this movement easier. Where we take a club out to the front, we reach up and back, aim the chest toward the ceiling, and come back down. Again, you don't have to do this with a golf club in your hand, but for me, honestly, I kind of just like having a club in my hand. I keep one near my desk, and it does help me make sure that the sides are even with one another, which I find valuable. And after a few back bends, I'm going to hold the same position, but add a twist. If you haven't in a while, take a nice big inhale and exhale to make sure you aren't holding that breath in. And last one. I'm going to turn sideways for this next one because we're going to address the lower back. If you have a back to your chair, you're going to want to scoot forward a little bit. So we're going to first slouch in the position we're typically in a chair, and then we're just going to roll our way up and get into the exact opposite. So if you put your hands on your pelvis here, you can feel it rocking forward and backward, forward and backward. Again, make sure we're still controlling the breath. Make sure we include the neck. Any movement for the neck has to start with neutral shoulders, so you're going to give yourself just a little bit of tension in the shoulder blades. You're going to pinch back and come forward. We're going to do about 8 of these. Chin tucks down, head pushes back. Eyes should stay fixed straight ahead. This is a very specific joint in the upper cervical spine that we're trying to address here, and that's done best with a tucked chin and backward movement. Now, I think yoga is valuable not just for the stretching, but for the fluidity of movement. So I'm going to go back either to this position or the little bit harder version that's here. The shoulder blades are a little bit tucked. And I'm going to add turns, but instead of going absolutely as far as I can, my focus here is being as smooth as possible. Should hopefully be no hitches in this movement. Again, if you haven't taken a deep breath in a while, add a large inhale and exhale. Make sure you're still moving air in and out of your lungs. All right, now I'm going to go actually back to that shoulder blade squeeze. Now I want to add a side bend to the motion. Again, you don't have to do these with a golf club. I find it helpful, but you can do them with your hands just mimicking this position, or your hands resting on your own neck. Now the key with side bends is to make sure you're purely bending to the side. This should not be a bend and twist. We want to stay just with the side bend, like you're trying to close down the rib cage and pelvis on this side and open up the other side. All right, next, I'm going to get back to the shoulders. Chest open, hands up, and I'm just going to press all the way up, all the way back down, with the club going behind my head. You might find if you have tight shoulders that you're going to be dropping this on top of your head. That's okay. Again, you can just go back and forth from the top of the head, or you can set down the club and just slide here. The great thing about all of these movements is the more you do them, the better you're going to get. So if you have trouble with one of them, don't let it be a big deal. It just tells you that you're going to need a little bit more volume before you improve. Perfect. Bring that down. Wiggle everything else out. We're going to do something for the wrist and forearms. So we're going to have elbows at the side, and you're going to roll your wrist all the way up, and you roll them all the way down. Again, if you feel like these are tight, you can put a club in your hand, and as you roll, you can use that other hand. Help the motion. Help the motion. Again, you might not need to. We're just going as far as we can, coming out of it. As far as we can, coming out of it. We're going to do 2 more. 1, 2, and we're going to go this direction. And again, we can use the club to help us. It's okay to feel a little bit of a stretch. If it's painful, I'd back off a little bit. You never want to create pain during yoga. That's usually just going to backfire and make us tighten up more. Let's go to the other side. We're going to start palm up. Again, I'm going to assist. Quick breath check-in. If you haven't taken a big inhale and exhale in a while, now is your time. Go the other direction. We're going to help it again. We have 1 more for the wrist after this, and then we will call that a yoga session. Perfect. Now we're going to go hands straight out front. We're going to keep our fingers straight, pull back, and then we're going to drop our fingers in and go down. Up to open, down and close. This has to do with the specific anatomy of the wrist and forearm. And if you're going down this way, you're going to stretch this top part, and as you come up, you're going to stretch the bottom. As you go up, if you feel something on the top of your wrist, that's not wrong. That's something called active insufficiency. I can cover it in a separate video. If you would like to know what it is, just comment below. It's certainly nothing to worry about. It's also not going to sacrifice the benefit of the movement. Last one. Shake it out. All right, as I said, what we run into with desk jobs or sitting is we start to shorten all the same muscle tissues, and that interferes with our golf swing. If you do something like this every day, or at least every other day, you're going to prevent that from happening. You're going to play better golf. You're going to have less pain when you golf because you're going to be moving and more flexible. As always, any questions, drop them in the comments below. Thanks for hanging out.